All right, guys, I'm here with Nathan Hirsch. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Nathan, welcome to the E-commerce Geniuses Show.
Matt, thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Same with me. I'm definitely excited to do this and, talking about it for a little while, and I've been looking forward to it. So I'm going to give a bit of an intro to tell people watching this who you are, and then you can tell us more, of course, afterwards. So Nathan is a serial entrepreneur and expert in remote hiring and e-commerce. He is the co-founder and CEO of freeup.com, a marketplace that connects businesses with pre-vetted freelancers in e-commerce, digital marketing, and much more. He has sold over $25 million online and regularly appears on leading business podcasts around the world. So I'm definitely flattered that you accepted to be part of this.
I appreciate your time as well. This should be fun.
Awesome. So the first question I had for you is, what's kind of your background and how did you get into e-commerce in the first place?
Sure. So I got into it kind of by accident. My parents were both teachers. I always thought that I was going to graduate high school, go to college, get a job, get that pension retirement plan, and that was going to be my life. And after being forced into spending my summer vacations doing internships at places such as Aaron's, which is kind of like a rent-a-center, and Firestone, their retail shop, I really realized that the 9-to-5 thing wasn't doing it for me. I hated it. I was watching the clock the whole day. It was tough for me to get motivated running someone else's business. And that's when it kind of opened my eyes to being an entrepreneur, because I saw the CEO of the company who would stop in once a month or every few months, and he could be on the golf course working, he could be running the business from anywhere. And I was like, I want that. So when I got to college and I was a broke college kid looking for extra beer money, I started buying and selling people's textbooks. And that kind of led to a little bit of money on the side. I had lines out the door at the end of every semester of people trying to sell me their books. It was very seasonal. I did start to compete with the school bookstore, and they sent me a cease and desist letter. And in my mind, I knew I wasn't going to be selling books for very long. I was going to graduate college. It was going to be tough to do. I thought by now no one would even use books. It would all be electronic or be via the tablets, but that didn't really happen. So I was always looking for another way. And as I was selling these books, I came across Amazon.com one day, and I became obsessed with it. This is back when e-commerce was first starting to take shape. Amazon was selling mostly books. They were getting into other categories. And I started to do trial and error. I would buy stuff on Craigslist. I would go to the local dump and try to find products to sell on Amazon. And although I made a little bit of money, I didn't have anything sustainable. I didn't think of it as a real business. I would find a product, I would sell it, but I didn't have any suppliers. And so I started experimenting, trying to find different suppliers. I tried selling cool products like DVDs and computers and stuff that I cared about and that I liked. And I just failed over and over and over. I couldn't get anything sustainable. And one day I started to experiment with baby products and home goods and stuff that was a little bit outside my 20-year-old single comfort zone. And that's when I started to have success. I realized the market for baby products on Amazon was booming. There weren't that many people selling it. Parents always wanted stuff shipped to their house. They didn't want to go to the stores. Moms were willing to pay premiums for these products. And I started building relationships with different suppliers, whether it was retailers or vendors or different distributors, and drop shipping these products. And before I knew it, I was running this multi-million-dollar Amazon dropship business out of my college dorm room. I had no idea what I was doing. I was making every good and bad decision that a young entrepreneur could make. And that's really when I started hiring out of necessity. And that took me down the path to FreeUp, which we can talk about later. But that's really how I went from a high school kid wanting to be an entrepreneur to owning my first e-commerce business.
So what has been sort of your experience with, you touched on Amazon.com, the Amazon marketplace, drop shipping, maybe other types of e-commerce as well. What sort of has been your experience with different kinds of e-commerce?
It's one of those things that you love it and you hate it. I mean, you love the traffic that Amazon brings and all the opportunity it offers. You hate how it tightens their grip around you, sometimes at the worst possible times, and it can also limit you in a way. So I think one of the things that I've just learned over the years is to diversify, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more later, but I see all these really successful e-commerce sellers, and the ones that are really crushing it, they have an Amazon store, they have an eBay store, they have their own Shopify store, and they're doing lots of different things. and they're not just focused on Amazon. And I think that I learned that in an early age, just in terms of having one supplier. But I feel like if I could go back and I didn't find FreeUp, or maybe I just kept going without getting to FreeUp, the next step was opening up my own website and kind of still being in e-commerce without being 100% dependent on Amazon.
What have been your biggest failures in doing e-commerce so far?
Sure.
And what did you learn from that, of course?
Yeah, so I always tell this story. So I mentioned I was running this multi-million-dollar Amazon business out of my college dorm room. I was hiring people. I finally found this project manager that I loved working with. I invested a lot of time and energy into training them, getting them set up. I went a good year or two working like 7 days a week. It was crazy. I had no time off. I was going to class. I was doing everything that a college kid wants, and I was working in all my possible free time. So I finally trained this person. I had this one supplier that I used for the first year, and I decided to take my first vacation. And I went to Myrtle Beach with a group of my friends, and I was on top of the world. I was making more money than I ever had before. I had discovered this Amazon secret that was so much fun that no one else was doing. And on the first day of my first vacation, I get a call from the manager of the day saying that their parents wanted them to focus on school. They were a college kid, and that all my time invested was out the window. I got a call from my supplier saying that they didn't want to work with me anymore. And so everything I built up of that supplier was gone, years worth of work. And then just to top it off, I get a call from my new accountant saying that someone had stolen my identity as a 21-year-old and had taken a $40,000 tax return in my name. And now my identity was stolen, and I was going to have to deal with that for the rest of my life. So I went from this unbelievable high to this bottom low where it was like, wow, being an entrepreneur sucks. I never want to do this again. And it kind of took a little bit of regrouping. And I sat there with my business partner. And I was like, okay, at the very least, what did we learn from this situation? And the lesson was diversity. I mean, let's not invest in one supplier. Let's make sure that we have 500 of them so that if one of us drops us, it's not that big of a deal. And within a year or 2 years, we had 500 suppliers. We learned not to make one person that does everything, the classic entrepreneurial mistake. And that's why I really preach to my clients, have someone for marketing, have someone for customer service, have someone for orders, have someone for pricing. So if they quit, it's not the end of the world. It might suck a little bit, but it's fairly easy to replace. So that was 2 lessons that I learned from that. And within 6 months, I mean, we went for it. We were like, hey, we have X amount of money left. We're going to invest it back in the company, see what happens. If it fails, we're still in college. We'll go out and get real jobs. And within 6 months, the business was bigger and safer than it was before. And
what about your biggest successes so far?
I mean, FreeUp last year grew 500%. We're a new company. We didn't have Amazon throwing customers at us. We had to build our own brand, build our own market. And I think I take a lot of pride in going from 0 to $1 million in 1 year and 1 to 5 million in 2 years. And I'm trying to double that this year. So although I had a lot of success on Amazon, for me personally, I think FreeUp has been the biggest success I've had.
So just in terms of finances, like the progression, the progress that you had over a short term, or for other reasons?
Sure. So I'll tell you the other reason that I really love FreeUp. With Amazon, it's a lot of you and your team. You're helping your team. You're helping your suppliers. At the end of the day, you're pushing products and you're putting money into your own pocket, which is great as a young entrepreneur. 5 years in, 8 years in, it loses a little bit of that kick. But with FreeUp, I get to help business owners from all over the world. Let's say on the client side, grow their e-commerce business or just their business in general, pursue their dreams. On the freelance side, I'm helping freelancers from all over the world. We paid out over $3 million to freelancers last year. That's people that we're helping support their family, grow their freelance business, pursue their dreams, do what they're passionate about instead of being stuck in a 9-to-5 job just to get a paycheck. So for me, that's incredibly rewarding. I love being able to help other people. I obviously love running a business and making money off of it and growing my own brand and being able to do podcasts and Facebook Live with you and webinars and speaking at conferences, and being able to do that within 2 years of starting the company was a lot more rewarding than getting to a certain number figure on Amazon.
Okay, makes sense. And what would be your top three pieces of advice for e-commerce entrepreneurs?
For e-commerce entrepreneurs. So I mentioned the first one, diversify. Get that Shopify store, even if you start off small and you're only getting a few orders a week. Open up an eBay account. Check out some other marketplaces. You never know if Etsy or Bonanza or Newegg are marketplaces that you can have success with. Obviously, focus on Amazon. That can be the bread and butter, but don't be afraid to experiment on the side. I even have clients who are selling products on Facebook, and it's great to diversify. My second piece of advice is customer service has to be the focus. I think that's one of the untold competitive advantages that I had way back in the day, because a lot of people, when they get to Amazon, especially if they're doing fulfilled by merchant, they don't realize that Amazon is key and the customer is always right. And if you don't act that way, Amazon's going to kick you off. But I came from a background of learning at Firestone that treats their customers so well. I don't know if you've ever been to a Firestone, but I had that mentality that you make more money long-term by taking short-term losses and making customers happy than you do by not issuing refunds, not having fast customer service, not investing in a great customer care team. So if you invest in those foundations earlier, you will have much more success later. And I mean, even with FreeUp, we're dealing with real people, real freelancers, and mistakes are going to happen here and there. What you do is you take responsibility, you act quickly, and you make sure that everyone's happy at the end of the day. And if you have that mentality instead of the, oh my God, I don't want to lose money here or there, you're going to have a lot more success and you're going to make much more money later on. And my last piece of advice is focus on product and product quality. Really test things before they get out to market. I've seen so many horror stories of people who have gotten these big shipments that come in and something's wrong. They haven't taken the time to travel and meet with their supplier or get test samples or maybe meet with different suppliers or hire people from the outside to actually come in and test them and make sure there's not only a market for the product, but the product works and at a high level. So I always recommend spending extra time up front. It always saves you hassle down the line.
Would you mind telling us a little bit more about FreeUp? I know it's a platform for freelancers, but who is it for especially?
Sure. So it's funny because FreeUp kind of started for Amazon sellers in year one because like, hey, I'm an Amazon seller. Come hire my Amazon freelancers. Then year two, we're really focused on e-commerce. Hey, we offer Shopify and Walmart and all that stuff. And now year three, we have real estate agents and we've got doctors, lawyers, dentists, brick and mortar stores, business coaches, SaaS business, software as a service. And so we've really expanded from there. So at the point now, we're offering freelancers to all different kinds of industries. The basic part of FreeUp is I wanted a faster way to hire freelancers. I was used to all the other marketplaces. When I wanted to hire, I'd go there, I'd post a job, get 100 applicants, interview them one by one, and it just took forever. And I wanted a better way. So with FreeUp, we do it differently. We get hundreds of applicants every week. We vet them for skill, attitude, communication. We take the top 1%, we let them into the marketplace, and we make them available to clients first come, first serve. So clients like it because it's free to sign up. There's no monthly fee. Anytime you need a freelancer, you can get one within 24 hours, usually faster. We have freelancers, US and non-US, for all different skill sets from $5 to $50 an hour. On the back end, I have 24-hour customer service. Remember, I mentioned how important customer service is. That monitors my Skypes, my emails 24/7 so that you can always get quick results if you ever have an issue, and you rarely do. And on the back end of that, we're insurance against turnover. If workers quit for any reason, we cover all replacement costs and get you a new worker right away. So that's really what we're all about, saving people time on the front end and protecting them on the back end.
It seems like a really good alternative to Upwork or freelancer.com or those platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk about other marketplaces. I mean, Upwork is a lot bigger. There's pros and cons of that. There's pros and cons of everything. But I really took my experience of trying all these other marketplaces and removing what I didn't like and trying to turn that into my marketplace.
Okay. So the last question is, what would be your call to action? You know, people watching this, what would you like them to do?
Yeah, so right on freeup.com, if you're a business owner, create a free account. There's no monthly fee. There's no sign-up fee. You can keep us in your back pocket. If you're using other marketplaces or other service providers, next time you have a post, you can still use them, but you can submit a post to us and try us out. On top of the website, my calendar is right at the top. My cell phone number and Skype ID is right at the top. Reach out to me, schedule a time. I'd love to talk to you about your business. I think you'll be impressed with how hands-on me and my team are. We really want you to have a good experience, and we care about our clients. So that my call to action is to either set up a calendar if you have questions, or just create a free account and submit your first worker request when you're ready.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.